Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another very exciting episode on our Audible app series. Today we will be continuing on with our how to build a login/walkthrough component for our applications. So hope you guys are ready to rock and roll with some very fun pieces of code today. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at our simulator here and see what the application looks like. And then we'll go through exactly what it is that we want to be building for today. And our application contains a collection view with 4 cells currently, and each one of these cells contains just one single image view. And this image view really needs to also be clamped on top of this other component inside of our cell, which is a UITextView. And this UITextView right here contains a default white background, a title text, and a message text on the very bottom. And as you swipe through each one of these pages, the text actually differs from page to page. So why don't we get started with building out this bottom text view inside of our page cell. All right, hope that sounds good. And let's get started with our application right here. And here is the page cell file. I'm just going to run the application to make sure everything is just the way I want it to be. And so this page cell right here contains this entire image view, and we want to place the UITextView right on the very bottom right here. And I am first going to create this text view in code very easily. Hopefully you guys are kind of used to it by now by saying let text view be of type UITextView, execute it inside of this closure, let TV equals UITextView, TV.see text. Let's just put some sample text for now, and we'll just return this TV component outside of the actual closure. And here I'm going to, say TV editable equals false, and this editable property just makes it so that you can't type in text on your device. So these are the couple of lines I need to create this text view reference. And now that I have that reference, I can add it into this individual page cell right here. And first I'll say add subview of text view. And now I need to actually place it inside of this cell. So how do I place it so that it lies on the very bottom right here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor on the left, right, and bottom, and then I'm going to include a height anchor for the entire text view. That's how I'm going to place it down here. So the way to do that is to say text view anchor to top, and let's see if I can scroll down a little bit here, make some space for you guys. And for the top, because it's not actually anchored to the top of anything here, this top will be nil, and this left will be the cell's left anchor, the cell's bottom anchor, and these cells right anchor like that. So nothing too bad. And remember, this anchor to top method is something that I've included as an extension in the previous video. So either watch that video or download the source code later to kind of see how this method works. It basically just anchors things onto the edges of certain components that you provide, makes typing out and recording these videos a lot easier. And so the missing component here is the actual height anchor for this text view. Height anchor constrained to this anchor with this multiplier guy right here. And this anchor is the cell's height anchor like that. And the multiplier will just use a value of 0.3. Finally, we need to activate this anchor like so. And I'm going to run this, and hopefully I'll get something inside of my view. And here it is. I get my sample text inside of this area right here. And as I swipe through each one of these cells, you'll notice that each text view is correctly located at the very bottom. However, notice that the image right here is actually clamped to the very top of the text view. And inside of our current app, it's kind of being cut off down here. So how do we fix this inside of our code? Well, the secret is to actually change the image view's bottom anchor right here. So the image view is currently clamped at the very bottom of the simulator or the device. And that is specified by this bottom anchor right here. And if we change this to be text view dot top anchor, what this will do is instead of clamping all the way on the bottom, it just clamps it to the top of the text view. So here we go. The image right here is no longer being cut off by the text view component, just like how we kind of want it right here. So that's how that works. Not a lot of code to type once you have this anchor to top convenience method inside of your project. So hopefully you guys will find this method useful. And here we go. We want to now move on to something else that is very important in a lot of your iOS projects, and that is the notion of a model object inside of your application. And here we will create a new model object called the page model class. And the page model class will represent each one of these pages right here. And I guess more specifically, a page will be a container object that contains three very important pieces of information. The first is this image name up here, and the second is this title text, and the third is this bottom message text right here. And we're going to create a page model by just simply creating a new file. So with file, page, and here we go. I think that's okay. So this model will be a struct, and we're just going to call it page, and we'll say let image name be of type string. So let's see, I actually want to set the title first. So title, and then we'll say let message be string as well. So these are the three properties that each one of these page objects will hold. And how do we utilize this page object now that we have all of this ready to go for us? And the area or the location of the view controller is kind of where we want to place this here. And I'm just going to make a couple of lines. I'm going to say let pages be of type array of pages. And I'm going to execute some bit of code inside of this closure right here. So I'm going to return a empty array. And what this is going to do is it creates a empty array and sets pages to an empty array. And now that I have that ready, I can go to number of items in section and say return pages.count. And if you can guess what this does, hopefully some of you guys can guess what it does. It really kills off the collection view now that it returns 0 pages. So empty array, 0 pages for the count, and we have nothing inside of our view right now. And having all of this hooked up right now, we can do some interesting things inside of this closure. The first of which is to let a reference of first page equals this page object right here. And we'll use this constructor. And the first page will contain the data for this first page here, obviously. And the title is share a great listen. And the message, I guess I'll just type it out. It's free to send your books to the people in your life. Every recipient's first book is on us. Hopefully that didn't take too much time. And the page will actually be, the image name will be this page 1 right here, which corresponds to the assets of page 1 right here. So that's how that works. And inside of this array, I'm just going to return this first page, which I've constructed manually. And here we go. This first page is now back. And now we need to create the second page and the third page that is shown here and here. So I'm going to create this second page right now with this let second page equals page of title. So I'm just going to type this out again. Hopefully I'm typing fast enough so that I don't lose some of you here. And it says tap the more menu next to any book, choose. And here's the one tricky part of the string. To get a quotation mark like that, you actually need to escape it with a forward slash or a backslash, I think this is called. And you just say send this book and escape it again and close it with another one. So that's how that works. And this will be a string of page 2. And if I can get to the actual images here, I want to load the assets again. If I can load it, I want to, let's see, go inside of my directory right here and pull in page 2 and page 3, which is, see this image here, hopefully you guys can see part of it. And that will be the page 2, and page 3 is very similar. So let's just type this out again. And what does page 3 look like? So the string says send from the player, and hopefully I can type this out fast enough again. Menu in the upper corner, choose. See, let's escape the quotes, send this book, and escape that quote and close it off. And this will say page 3. Okay, now with all that somewhat tedious work out of the way, we can return the array with all of the 3 pages of our walkthrough component, or our login component, whatever you want to call it. And here we go. We now have 3 pages, but if you notice, the pages all say the same exact thing. And now we need to kind of pump the page. We need to pipe it into the actual page cell here. And to do that, I guess there's a couple of ways to show you exactly how to do that. And so if you look at cell for item at index path, what I really want to do is type in cell page equals page. And I want to say let page equal this pages variable with the index path dot item. That'll give me the right page. I'm going to set this page onto this cell somehow. And we can't do that unless we specify a, let's see, var here, page, and then we'll use an optional right there. So the last missing bit is to cast this down as a page cell, and everything should be okay. So I run this, nothing else is going to change, and we will need to modify page cell so that we feed in some of the page information into these components here. So here we go. Every time we set a page, we can use this did set piece of code here. And we now have access to the page for each one of these cells. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say guard let page equals page else return. And what this does is it unwraps this optional page for me so that I can access it down here. And I will say image view, which is this guy down here. I'll say image view that image equals UI image named page dot image name. And that's what we are going to set for each one of our cells so that the image shows up nicely at the very top, just like that. So not bad, and pretty good. All right. And what do we want to do next for our page is to change the text on the bottom so that it actually reflects the title and the message of our page. So here we go. We want to do this down here. And one thing that you can do is just say text view dot text equals, let's see, page dot title, and then perhaps plus new line, plus page dot message. This is something that you can actually do. But the issue with this is that the actual text in here doesn't actually change in terms of the font size and the color. So this color is actually a different color. It's a little lighter than dark black. But the idea here is how do we modify the text in here so that we only need one component to represent all of this text. And the trick is to use something called an attributed string. So let's type in attributed text right here equals NSMutable attributed string with this, let's see, string and attributes. This is what we want to use here. And instead of setting the text like that, we'll say text view dot attributed text equals attributed text. That's how you would set text inside of a UITextView that looks different per line. And here's how to actually put in the first line. And for the string inside of NSMutable attributed string, we'll say page.title. And then the attributes will be this. NS font attribute name will be UI font. And what is this? We'll use the system font of size with a font size of 20, and I think this can be medium. UI font weight medium right here. That gives us this font right here. And if we want to change the color of the text as well, you can just say color equals UI color. I'm going to use this white of 0.2 and 1. That gives me this grayish color here. You can specify the NS foreground color attribute name with this color object that you create up here. So that will give you this grayish text. And if you run this right now, let's just see what we get with this attributed string here when we set it down here for the text view. You'll see that the text looks like that, and it looks a lot closer to our current finished application here. So let's finish up the rest of this message by adding in the page message as well. So first we want to append an attributed string, and you actually have to append this attributed string here. And let's just do this. So let's use string and attributes like that. And what do we need for this string? Let's see. So this string, first I actually want to, add in 2 new lines like that. And then for this, I'll just say page.message. So these two new lines will give me this space right here. And I think that text is a little large, so I'm going to change this down to 18. And now this attributes guy will do the same thing of NS font attribute name, UI font, let's see, font right there, system font of size. I think we can just use system font of size 14. That should be okay. And NS foreground color attribute name of, the color object. And let's just run this to see if our application will render the title text and then the message text right below. And that's exactly what we get inside of the text view area. And how do we center this text onto the entire horizontal axis first? So the trick here is to use this paragraph style. So paragraph style equals NS mutable paragraph style. I think that's what it needs to be. So this style, you can specify this thing called alignment on it, and you can specify something called center. And this is going to center all of this text here by, text view, add attribute. So I think it's attributed text, add attribute, and we'll use this name guy down here. And the name is this NS paragraph style attributed name. The value will be this paragraph style. And NS range is probably the most difficult thing to construct here, but it's not that hard with NS range. Location and length. Location is 0. And the length, I'll just construct it up here just to make it easier to read. It is attributed text dot string for the actual string itself, so the entire string right now. And we use characters dot count for the amount of characters inside of the entire attributed string. Hence, length will be just that. Let's just remove this line here and run this code to see what the application looks like now that we've centered the text inside of the entire view. So this is what we get. And this is what it is right here. Let's see why this text right here is a little jaggedy. Anyhow, I'll just bump it up to 20, see if that helps us right now. So the text right now is pretty good. And what is remaining? Well, let's see. So that's what we get. The last remaining bit is to actually push it down a little bit. So we want to push it down inside of our view, and you'll notice there's some padding issues here. So I'm going to push it down by going back to text view right here, and I'm going to specify the text view content inset to be UI edge inset like this with this top constructor of, I want to say 24 for the top and 0 for the rest of the edges. And now the text view will be pushed down from the top just like that. And that's how we get the entire text view to be rendered down in the middle. And the one final thing with this text view that I want to get to is this edge right here and this edge right here. So you notice how it's really close to the center, and in this it's actually really far from, or the edges are really far from the actual text. So the way to fix this is to, let's see, so I'm going to comment this guy out and comment this right here. I'm going to say text view anchor, let's see, with constants. So here's the other method inside of the extension file right here, or here's the actual method that it calls. So with this method, I can specify top anchor again as nil, left anchor is the same as left. Let's see, what's bottom anchor, right anchor, and the constants is where I want to actually specify some values. So if I specify a value of 0 for the top, left of, let's see, 16, bottom of 0, and right of 16, this will give me the exact anchor style, but instead of just the 0 values for the edges, we get this right now. So it looks kind of like this. And the red bars is something that we can control if we go back to view controller and specify white color for the collection view instead. And so the red is actually part of the collection view. And here we go. Now that we have white color as the background, the text looks like this, and that's pretty close to what we want. The one final issue that we have is we're missing this horizontal bar right here, and that's pretty easy to add into the cell. So I'm going to do that rather quickly by saying let line separator view be this UI view type, let view equals UI view, was a view.background color equals UI color, and we'll use white 0.9 and 1. This gives me this really faint gray color right here. I'll just return this view, executing this closure, and we get our line separator view. So finally, we add it into the cell with add sub view, line separator view, and I guess we can get rid of this line right here. Don't like comments so much. And finally, line separator view, anchor to top. And here is what we do. So top is nil again. And we'll say left anchor is left anchor of the cell. Bottom is actually text view dot top anchor. And right anchor is the cell's right anchor. So this is going to actually align this bar right on top of the text view. But we don't see it yet. And the reason is because we, again, are missing how tall the line separator needs to be via this height anchor of constrained to constant of the value of 1, and we'll need to activate it with active equals true. So that's how we clean up the layout a little bit, and we get this line right here now. So if I bring this back down to the center, you notice we have this very clean line that appears right between the image and the actual text view component. So pretty good, not bad, and yeah. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for another episode in our Audible app series. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this. And don't forget, you can download the source code for this project if you go into the description below. Download the project, play around with the code, see what works for you and what doesn't. Make sure to look at the anchors to top method because it's a very useful line of code to have perhaps in your projects later on. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.